Hi everyone, Star Lord is here, and welcome back to another episode of the Hope for Humanity series. Today we're going to be talking about anxiety and panic attacks and just how crippling these situations can be. I myself have in the past suffered from panic attacks, anxiety, so forth. Today, I'm happy to say that it happens less and less now that I am doing the certain practices that I'm doing, such as chakra clearing and meditation has helped a lot. Years ago, I started doing some research on how to deal with such anxiety and so forth. And what I came up with was quite interesting. There's a lot of information actually right here on YouTube as well as on the internet about the connection between breathing, anxiety attacks, and panic attacks. Now, I realize that it varies. Some people suffer from mild forms of anxiety to extreme. Same thing with panic attacks, can be a mild panic attack to full-blown, such as in the case of PSTD and so forth. But at the same time, these all tend to have the same, whether it's mild or severe, all tend to have the same type of symptoms, the shortness of breath. We feel like we can't breathe. We feel like we're going to pass out. It can be extremely humiliating and embarrassing if we're in public. Unfortunately, it hampers us in a lot of ways from living the experiences we want to live in life. Sometimes we don't want to go to a certain place or deal with a certain situation because of the fact that we're even just fearful of having a panic attack or because something could trigger our anxiety. Believe it or not, it's something that seems so simple, but by the same token, it is so effective, is breathing. Like, just breathe. Really, it does make a difference. In terms of, I have found myself, I've started using this practice when I find anxiety welling up in certain situations in my life. It doesn't happen very often any longer, but even when it does, I know the symptoms. Anyone who suffers from this, you know the symptoms long before it ever even happens. And when I start to feel warm inside, start to feel like I'm going to start sweating profusely and start to feel anxious and nervous and I can't concentrate. Those types of things I know are going to lead eventually to anxiety or even full-blown panic attacks. So what I've learned to do is take a lot of deep breaths. And most of us, I mean, breathing is a simple thing, right? We do it all the time. I mean, anyone who's alive is breathing on a regular basis. But most people don't realize that they're not conscious. We're not aware. We're not conscious of our breathing. And I know myself in the past that I was guilty of this, and probably a lot of you are as well, taking these short little breaths that actually are quite detrimental, especially in terms of anxiety and panic attacks. It seems like the shortness of the breath gets worse when anxiety is about to well up. So what I suggest, this is what I do now, is to take a deep breath, but it has to be from the bottom of the diaphragm. Like, you have to take the breath from back underneath the short little chest breaths that we take. If you're, say, for example, if you're having an anxiety in traffic or something like that, and you're just getting really anxious, the thoughts start roaming around, we can't concentrate, we can't focus, that's a perfect time to stop and just take some deep breaths from the diaphragm. When you find that when you do that, I know I do, I feel this calming sensation like almost immediately. So this is a quick way to sort of ward off what could turn into a full-blown panic attack. Now, there are techniques out there now, like I said, on YouTube that teach breathing, different types of breathing for different types of situations, relaxation. And it's very hard once we're in full-blown anxiety or panic attacks to try to calm ourselves down with breathing. That's why I suggest that you try it just prior to, because you always get that little inkling, that little feeling that it could come about. So that's the time to do it. Take a deep breath in from the diaphragm and then just let it out slowly. Take a few deep breaths like that, and when you stop, be conscious and aware of your breathing from that moment on. If it starts to become shortened and rapid, just go back. Again, this is where the drill sergeant comes in. We have to, all of these practices, we must use discipline of the mind. Keep reminding yourself that the breath is going to help you. It's going to be an aid. So this is a way to help get you through these panicky moments when you're dealing with situations. Now, triggers can be different for all of us. Some people are triggered by large crowds. Other people are triggered by traffic. Other people are triggered by having to perform or do something in front of you, speak in public or speak up at work or things like that. Even some people get very anxious just at the thought of going to work, maybe if they're under a lot of stress. Again, that deep breath before you go into work or before you're doing anything that's going to cause deep anxiety, it's always really helpful. Now, I go back to meditation and chakra clearing and those kinds of things. I've put up the videos to lead you guys to those types of practices, and it's always good to at least try and do those on a regular basis, daily, or at least a few times a week, to help you get in the practice of breathing. And you'll be doing that during these particular situations, such as meditation. And when you do that, it'll help not only with anxiety, with panic attacks and so forth, it just helps you remain calm throughout your day a lot more so than even if you don't suffer from panic attacks or anxieties. It's still good, because I find what it does for me and what it'll do for a lot of you is also quiet the mind chatter that keeps going and keeps going. When we take those short, little, rapid breaths, it seems like it speeds up the mind and thoughts keep coming faster. And then again, it's kind of like, you know, a no-win situation, because the thoughts come faster, then the anxiety comes, and then before we know it, we're completely out of breath and we haven't even done any physical movement. So taking deep, thoughtful breaths can help bring you back to awareness, to consciousness, and to the moment. And when we do that, we realize that there's nothing wrong in this moment. When you're in traffic, you may be frustrated, or if you're dealing with people, you may be frustrated. But taking that breath, you realize that frustration is just that. It's frustration. It's not really, there's no fear here. There's nothing that is, well, it feels like fear, but there's nothing in your immediate environment that is really stressful to the point where you need to trigger a fight or flight instinct. When you do that, you just realize, oh, I'm just sitting in traffic. There's nothing I can do about it. I might as well just maybe use my mind, put my mind on more positive thoughts or some plans that I want to make. Use your time effectively instead of being stressed out and looking at the time constantly and saying, I'm going to be late now for my meeting or to get home or so forth. Instead, just take your breath, feel really good, feel conscious, feel in the moment, and it brings you back into that moment. And you will be surprised just how much it can actually aid you and help you in everyday life, just to keep you calmer with every situations. And it definitely will help in terms of anxiety and panic attacks. Now, for those of you, I am going to be putting up a video at the end of this to lead you to, I believe it is a TED Talks video on the importance of breathing. He also walks you through some different breath control type of things. I really urge you to work with this type of technique, because it really will aid you and help you to just feel calmer, and it may even help to eliminate some of your anxiety. So that is my message for the day. I hope this helped you. Looking forward to hearing from some of you in the comments, and even going forward with some further, if you have some suggestions about further topics for us to cover in this Hope for Humanity series, I'd be happy to hear from you. So take care, much love, namaste, bye-bye for now.